Hello everyone! So welcome to my video that I am going to present to you for this class. So as you are able to see that I'm kind of surrounded by nothing but just trees, wilderness, maybe had to get through a little bit of poison ivy from time to time a little bit to get to the spot, but I am located not too far from what you're going to be able to see from Brattonsville with the Bratton House. I am over at the Battle of Hook's Defeat right behind me. So right behind me, there's a little plaque that talks about the Williamson's plantation and the Williamson's house itself, because this is where the British were located during this battle when they got through trying to investigate to see the whereabouts of William Bratton, or Colonel William Bratton, of the Whigs themselves. What I was wanting to introduce to every single one of y'all is historic Brattonsville. And with historic Brattonsville, you are able to see, one, the American Revolution side, and two, the antebellum side. I really hope that you enjoy what I am trying to present to every single one of y'all, and let's get to it.
So for the Bratton family, and even for my own ancestors, they all each went down the Great Wagon Road, as you are able to see. A lot of them wanted farmland, most of them wanted their own house, and it was just a great opportunity to go from Pennsylvania all the way down to where they ended up in York County, South Carolina. So this is the McConnell House, and this is a good representation of what life is like in backcountry South Carolina in the early 1700s. This is the same way for the Brattons and other family members around this area, as you are able to see.
So right behind me is the original Bratton House. And this is typically where, during the American Revolution, Martha Bratton was over with her children and plus others. Then all of a sudden, you have, of course, Captain Hook, along with his dragoons, his New York volunteers, to come on over to investigate all the different Whigs around this area. And I will show you different pictures and so forth. But over at the very front, there was a little story behind Martha Bratton and Hook, where he used a reefing hook to intimidate and threaten about her husband's whereabouts. Right now, as you are able to see, they are in progress of restoring much of the house itself. And it's still in progress, and so forth. So right behind me, you are able to see the commemoration of historic markers for the Battle of Hook's Defeat. So over to my left, you're at least able to see a commemoration for Martha and William Bratton, who were part of the original home for the Bratton House, not too far to my left again. But over to my right, you're at least able to see a commemoration for the slave named Watt. Watt was a slave that was part of the Bratton family during the American Revolution, and it was a story about him helping out with finding William Bratton, Colonel William Bratton, and leading him back to his home after what just occurred. So Martha Bratton was having to basically feed, give clothes, provide a lot of different supplies to Captain Hook as well as his men. So after she was basically locked in the closet, she basically sent Watt to find her husband. And without Watt to find her husband, none of the battles would have honestly happened. That is just about 1.5 miles from me. So, as you are able to see right behind me is the antebellum Bratton House. Not too far, about maybe 200 feet away from me, is the American Revolution Bratton House by Martha and William Bratton, who played influential roles into the American Revolution. But whenever around this whole entire area, you're at least able to see not only from the American Revolution perspective and living in the backcountry, but you're at least able to see the plantation era when it comes to the antebellum era. So right behind me was built by Dr. John S. Bratton and his family. Some of the different wings right behind me were built sometime later on and constructed a little bit later on as well, so they made even more additional additions to the house itself. But sometimes, like within the house itself, they were wanting it for like dining. They were wanting to make sure, like for different parties, they want to be super extravagant when it comes to like maybe their family members, friends, so forth. And especially when it comes to business, they are really well known when it comes to business. So that's also another addition to the house. Of course, it is in restoration. They are trying to reconstruct a little bit and get it a little bit better, just like how it is for the original Bratton house. But just to give you somewhat of a fun fact before I end it and probably show you some other pictures along with it, this is where the Patriot was filmed from one of the parts. If you recall, over for one of the little boys I was trying to get away from, like Charlton, in that he would basically hide underneath like the table, then try to go underneath into like where they would have like a little refrigerator type in that little basement section of the dining. So over behind this, you would be able to see where the Patriot was filmed at.
This is the Brick House by Dr. John S. Bratton. The Bratton family were well known into business and even in the medical field because most of them ended up as doctors, nurses. But for the Brick House, and as you're able to see throughout, they ventured in a lot of ways to make money. Not only did they make money from their general store, they also made money from using slave labor. You are able to see, as of right now, one of the slave cabins that is at historic Brattonsville. Historic Brattonsville does a tremendous job of presenting to the public of what life is like for a slave. It is very much small quarters. They had their own beds in some way. They had chimneys to at least cook and keep themselves warm. They just do a really good job of presenting it. And even for the Bratton family, they ventured into livestock. They have all the farmland for growing different crops. They even ventured into having their very own cotton gin inside of that building that you're able to see. So for the Brattons, they were making well amounts of money. Very good amounts of money. Just look at all the beautiful farmland that you're able to see. And for this is the Smith house, and this is a typical house that would be a good representation of the 1800s. Larger quarters, larger living spaces. So you're able to see how life has changed from American Revolution to the antebellum era side.
I hope every single one of y'all enjoyed my video on my presentation and my guided tour of historic Brattonsville. Again, I'm looking forward to what every single one of y'all included in the comments. I'm definitely looking forward to watching your videos on what local history that you decide to go with, or your interviews, or any other endeavors that you are fascinated in. And I wanted to conclude why local history is important. And with local history, it really defines our local area. It defines our culture, defines our history, defines everything that we really are as a society. When it comes to historic Brattonsville, it defined from the American Revolution how the revolution was shifted from the British to the Whigs, and even so forth. Again, I really hope that you find enjoyment out of my video, and again, thank you for watching.